I wrote the book. That's
Right.
what makes it accurate. And the movie is totally Hollywood. You know, once you sign, you basically give them the permission to run with it, because they're not going to make a movie and leave you in charge of a
hell no.
multi-million-dollar project.
No, it just doesn't happen. Hi, welcome to Mysterious Forces Live. This is a special episode. As you can see, I'm here with Travis Walton today, and we are at DisclosureCon 2018, and we're going to do a brief interview here with Travis and catch up with him. And Travis, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
And I know a lot of people talk to you about your UFO experience, and you do lectures about your experience, and actually you're going to be doing a lecture here later. I want to talk to you a little bit about you as a person, because there's one experience that I have going to these conventions and talking to the people I know, and that is everyone talks about what a nice guy you are and how just low-key you are and how real you are. And I have not met anyone who has met you or worked with you that doesn't have something good to say about you.
Well, that's good to hear.
And having talked to you at the UFO Congress in Phoenix before, I know that you have a love of music. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about your love of music, because I don't think that's a side of you that people are familiar with. And you had a guitar at a convention, and you were, out playing and singing, and you know some people in the music industry. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about your interest in music. You like country music primarily?
Well, I like rock and country, and pop, and some of everything. And I really enjoy just whatever song. If I like it, I like it,
Yeah.
And playing with my sons is really cool. They're much better than me, but it's fun playing with them.
Have you ever performed in front of a crowd in terms of?
I played in Laughlin once with my grandkids singing in the background. 7 or 8 of them.
Oh wow!
And with an Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were doing Unchained Melody, and it was quite a show. It was a circus. I think I had a parrot on my shoulder. It was really weird. And the Elvis impersonator was, dancing and singing.
Uh-huh.
I was just playing. He was singing. And this old guy wanted to cross from one side to the other, and he thought he could just walk behind Elvis. And Elvis couldn't see him. He's facing the front. He's facing the audience. And he danced back and ran right over that guy, and they both fell all the way to the floor. It's the most embarrassing thing for poor Elvis.
That's great. That's a great story. I love that. So that was your one and only time of musical public performance.
Well, my grandkids are all very talented, and they can sing, and a lot of them can play instruments, and their dad's a musician. He plays everything, guitar, keyboard, drums.
Oh wow!
You name it. He can play 2 saxophones at the same time.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
The main trick there being lung power, to have enough lung to drive 2 saxophones.
Wow. And is guitar the only instrument that you've ever played or learned how to play?
I do a little bit of keyboard. I have a piano in my house, one of those 10-ton things, and some nice modern digital keyboard things.
That's cool.
3 of those.
That's nice. Music is a big passion for me. I've played for a long time, and so that's always close to my heart. I always feel like I can get to know people through the music that they enjoy.
Well, I never even knew that my father played in the band with Marty Robbins until a couple of years ago. My oldest brother told me, when they got out of the Navy, my dad and Marty Robbins, they live next door to each other. Right now,
wow.
that neighborhood in Phoenix has been restored. They got Marty Robbins Way and Marty Robbins this. It's a whole thing dedicated to the fact that he was living there. Of course, there's no record that my parents lived there. But
Yeah.
my father was an identical twin, and both him and his twin were in the band with Marty until he got his own TV show and outgrew them.
Right, and his hair got big. And as I talked to you before we went on the air, I worked with Connie Smith. One time we did a one-off with Connie Smith, and that was a good show. And I used to kind of work in the country music world a little bit, and rock as well, but all that. So what is new on the horizon for you in terms of projects or lectures?
Well, I just completed a new television series called Beyond Roswell. I'm one of 3 hosts in that show. It's not complete yet. They're still doing all the special effects and that sort of stuff. But and then I've got another television series coming up where I'm the sole host. The Native American experience with the alien phenomena going way back, pre-European. So it's going to be fascinating. I'm really interested in working on that one.
And do you know where these shows are going to be available? What
Well,
platform?
Discovery Channel is one that's they're in discussion with on the Beyond Roswell series. Basically, what we were doing was reinvestigating the New Mexico and the Aurora, Texas crashes, and there was one in Mexico. And we were looking into how much of the hype about government cover-up was valid. And so it was really fascinating to be on the other side of the camera as the host rather than the subject of the show. But also, I'm in discussion with a couple of producers about a possible remake of Fire in the Sky, and now I'm leaning heavily in the direction of, rather than a feature film, having it become a mini-series, because I really feel that that would be the best format to get more information. I'm really keen on informing the public about a lot of things that there just wouldn't be room for in a dramatic feature.
Right. Yeah, for those who are familiar with Travis's experience, there were hundreds of people searching for him at the time of his disappearance, and law enforcement was heavily involved at the time, and there was worldwide publicity on this, and it was a very complicated case. And I think you are correct in taking that approach in terms of a miniseries, because not only did you have your own individual experience, which is in and of itself worthy of a movie, but then you have the experience of your friends and your family and law enforcement and all those different points of view to tie that all together and kind of bring that around in a complete circle, because so many people were involved. And
Oh, yeah. And, in the way, all of the debunkers wound up making themselves out to be total fools, because every single theory they came up with was totally disproven and actually shown to be full of falsehoods and deliberate deception.
Yeah. Did you have to develop a thick skin over time in
Yeah,
terms of
I did,
debunkers?
And, it really hurt at first to, go out in town. I never ran away. I still live in Snowflake where I always lived. But to see people that I knew and they would pretend they didn't know me. But things have changed. Now I go out and people I don't know pretend they do know me. So it's kind of turned around the other way. It's much better.
Right, yeah, that is. At least your story is being believed, and it's getting out there to more people. I think that your case is one of the most important cases in ufology ever, in terms of documentation and eyewitness accounts and everything involved. I mean, it's just one of the best
public
documented
response
cases.
is worldwide, and it's growing. It's at a peak, greater than ever before currently.
Yeah, it is. And can you talk a little bit about how this impacted your family at the time that this happened? I mean, they had to be really upset.
Yeah, it was extremely hard on my children. Kids can be so cruel. But like I was saying, it's turned around, and people who would make fun of it at the time now are happy to be associated with them and proud to know them and that sort of thing. So, that's been good for that turnabout. This one boy who made fun of my daughter for being, and called her Alien Girl. And then after she became a finalist in the Model America contest, he told his mom, "Dang, why was I have to be so mean to her?"
Yeah, I know. People shouldn't be trash talking to the people, and it's not something to be made fun of. How did having such a level of unwanted or unexpected celebrity affect your life?
Well, I was the kid who didn't want to speak in front of the class, so it's transformed me. I've had to learn how to address an audience and deal with the public. It's totally not me, not anything I ever wanted to be, but out of necessity, it's now my mission to educate the world.
Right.
And, I'm getting response from a lot of far-off countries that I never heard of before.
How does it affect you personally, like people who try to get close to you, or people who do want to try to be friends with you just because of your celebrity instead of knowing you for who you are as a person? Do you have a guard up against that?
Well, you have to take it with a grain of salt and, deal with it as it comes. Some people are very favorable. Some people, they're fans, but they're claiming, like one guy was claiming that he was at that homecoming party depicted in the movie. Well, that's impossible because that was movie fiction. That actually never happened.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing that even people who are fans and supporters can sometimes exaggerate their connection. But other times, they'll make up something in order to drag it down and claim to know me or have some experience that never happened. And, what can you do?
Right.
Somebody trying to get attention.
And I know that this experience for you was not only physically uncomfortable, but tremendously psychologically painful and impactful. And do you still have moments where the pain comes back, or does it bother you that something that was so painful and so uncomfortable for you gets trivialized by the way people talk about it, or throw the subject out, and yet your personal experience?
Yeah, all of the
had
above.
that connection?
There was a sighting that we had, and my son said, "Well, should we pull over and take a picture?" And I said, No, keep going. And I was surprised at the fear that came up in me when, at that point, I thought I had, connected on an emotional level with my intellectual understanding that they meant no harm. But when it came right down to confronting the issue, I wish I hadn't done that. But there were a large number of other witnesses I hope to contact and see if any of them took a picture.
Yes. Do you ever find yourself in a position where you hear other people's stories and you don't believe them, and you have to work it out within yourself, that territory that lets you know whether you believe someone's story, whether you think they're being authentic or not?
Well, yeah, and I developed a whole protocol about how do you separate the good cases from the bad cases. I once gave a whole talk on that subject, but it was, basically kind of a mini class in logic and scientific reasoning. But on the gut level, it's a different matter. And I do understand that some people have experiences that they honestly believe they experienced, but it was just an extremely vivid dream or other kind of experience that didn't actually happen, but they think it did. And so, I'm always try to be considerate with people and claims. It does annoy me when people make claims that seem to drag the whole field down, and I think that's not helpful. It would be much better if people wouldn't do that sort of thing, because, like I said, my mission is to make the world understand that this is very real, and people who come up with claims that are really wowie zowie, shock and awe kind of things, they seem to be trying to impress people with how exotic and how bizarre these things are, when actually, although, day-to-day American life. By contrast, that might seem pretty bizarre when I say something like, well, just think of them as those people from way over there that we don't know too much about. I actually detect a little note of disappointment in people with that. I think they prefer the Hollywood invading monsters attitude towards the subject.
Right, you're right. I think people do. Some people lean towards sensationalism, and some people like to stick with the scientific aspects of this. And I'm more on that side. I like to stick with the scientific.
It's all pretty marvelous, but as far as presenting the evidence, I like to stick with the facts. There's some pretty amazing things that happen in connection with my experience that I don't talk about because those are the parts I can't document.
Right.
So I stick with the things where I can point to police reports, polygraph reports, medical records, photographs of things that actually happened, and physical records and recorded testimony, that kind of thing.
Right. So to switch gears here, I know that you're going to be at Alien Con in Baltimore coming up.
Yeah.
And you have these 2 television projects, which we don't know what platform they're going to be released on, but we do know that they're in the works. Is there anywhere else that people can go to find your work or find your book?
I think go to my website, traviswalton.com is a good place to start. There's I intend to kind of come up with a whole listing of everything I've been in or done that people can go back and look at. A lot of these things are still available online. There's a very exceptional documentary called Paranormal Witness that you can get on Netflix or one of the other,
Platforms, social media outlet?
Yeah, social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say it is an honor to have you on this show. I know that you're very hardworking. You do a lot of events, and you're very much in demand. And there's always someone trying to get your attention, it seems like, especially at these events. And you were so kind in coming here and being on Mysterious Forces Live. And I just want to say, from the moment that I conceived this show, I wanted to have you on, because I feel like you're an important person and your experience is an important case for ufology in general. And you have been such a tremendous ambassador to the general public for what these experiences are like. I just think it can't be overstated, your importance in this movement and in this knowledge. And I'm honored to have you on the show.
Thank you
so
very much. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, thank you. Have a good time.